change is the end result of all true learning. Very true indeed, because we all love changes and we look forward for changes and try to be the change in the educational arena. And I think that is one of the reasons we are all seated here the 2 days for the symposium, to looking forward if there'd be any changes. And before we start the panel discussion, let me very briefly, quickly introduce these gentlemen who are here, the panel members. Dr. Bhavani Shankar, a passionate, highly experienced and acclaimed educationist who has been highly successful in building institutional excellence. He has worked across organizations engaged in social enterprise building, environmental sustainability, academic research, post-secondary and K-2 education for more than 3 decades. Mr. Rob Kindness. Rob joined the ABT team in 2024 and came with 15 years experience in the vocational qualification and EdTech sector. Prior to joining the commercial education sector, Rob served 25 years in the British Army. And Mr. Vinayak Sudhakar started his career taking administrative roles and teaching business studies and mathematics in UAE. He has been the senior manager, worked with Cambridge Assessment International Education for over 15 years. Dr. Venunadhan Pillai, a Harvard qualified school leader with more than 3.5 decades of experiences in schools in India and abroad. He is also a Cambridge Assessment Group member and an accredited Cambridge English trainer for A-levels and IGCSE. The world is undergoing rapid changes in the knowledge landscape. In the quickly changing employment landscape and global ecosystem, it is becoming increasingly critical that the children not only learn, but more important, learn how to learn. Education must move towards the less content and more towards being creative and multidisciplinary. So thus creating a roadmap for educators to visualize long-term goals by 2030 involves setting clear, actionable milestones and providing a framework for continuous professional development. Here we have our panel members who would be throwing light on key areas of teacher training and development, curriculum innovation, AI literacy, fostering collaborative learning and interdisciplinary approach, sustainable development goals. Without much delay, let me ask my first question to Dr. Pillai. As on sharing vision with collaborative ownership of 2030 goals. Sir, how can educators create a shared vision and collaborative collective ownership of 2030 goals?
Thank you. Well, I would like to talk to the audience. How many of you, what's a vision actually? I mean, we always hear the word vision and mission. How do you define it? What's a vision? Pardon? Success. Is success the vision? Well, I mean, vision can be an individual's vision, it can be a group's vision, it can be an organization's vision, it can be a country's vision. Okay, it is taking shape now, slowly. Yeah, actually, yeah. So you are saying vision and?
The achievement of vision.
Yeah. Achievement of vision is mission. Well, anyway, from whatever cues that you have told me, I'll say that it is an overarching actually intention of an organization or a person or a country, an overarching intention. That is where we want to reach. That's a destination that we perceive. And mission, to my understanding, are the steps that we take to achieve the vision. So, a vision of any organization should be, of course, for us, for institutions, must be focused on student success. It has to be inspiring, it has to be aspirational, it has to be concise and clear, memorable and clear. And how many of you remember the vision of your school without checking any document? Yeah. So that's very important. We need to understand the vision of our organization. Then only we can create I mean, the collaboration, actually. That's one thing. So achieving that one is understanding the vision, participating in the vision, and making sure that the missions are achieved. I mean, vision is achieved through the mission statements. So for that, we need a collaboration, real collaboration. According to actually Hargreaves and Fullan, there are 4 kind of teaching behaviors in a school. One is individualistic. Another one is balkanized. The third one is contrived collegiality. And the next one is collaboration. The individualistic means, I know what I do. I don't need to collaborate. I know my subject. I produce result. My students are successful. They are in different places. So I don't think that I need to collaborate with anybody. I know my work. And we have a group of people who are engaged in silo teaching like that. The balkanized ones are, it is a clique swarmed in the institution. They are loyal to their groups only. They are not loyal to the school or to the institution. They are not loyal to the vision of the school. That's a problem with them. Then the other one is a contrived collegiality. They pretend to be collaborating, but they don't collaborate. The other one is real collaboration, where they have a purpose for a meeting. For example, a meeting, there is a purpose, there is an agenda, there is something to achieve. So that kind of collaboration we have to create. That way only we'll be able to achieve the vision and mission, and we can create a collaborative setup in any institution. This is my introductory remarks about it.
Thank you, sir. Very true. I know teachers are the main stockholders who carry the vision. And there's a saying that say that teachers can change lives with just the right mix of chalk and challenge. And we always say, even the best system fails if the teacher is not well equipped, right? So I would like to ask Dr. Bhavani Shankar regarding what specific skills and knowledge do educators need to develop to meet the future educational goals?
Okay, I'll just draw a thread from what Dr. Pillai just said. So we were looking at stakeholders, and on one side there's a client that we service. I'm going to pose this question: who is the client that all of you service? Students are stakeholders. They give and receive. What about parents? They give and receive too. What about the management? They give and receive too. So who is the client? We'll take the thread again. The only client for our organization is not a person, but the vision. The vision is only one thing that is getting serviced here, right? So with that thought, let us move on to some of the, I would say, the core stakeholders. And in order that education is shaped to anything meaningful, we really need good educators. I would not say perfect educators, but then I would definitely say good educators. And the worst thing that can happen to us is resistance to change. And with the change as a central theme that is emerging in this particular context, I would say that the biggest 21st century skill which we are trying to sort of profess in some way would possibly be change readiness. And I would place change readiness on top of everything else, and believe strongly that most of the other skill sets that we are talking about would be subsumed within the change readiness. So if the teachers are first ready to offload their baggages, let's say I cannot offload a baggage that I carry, the baggage of belief, the baggage of rigidity, the baggage of the dogmas that drive my force. So I'm unwilling to first offload them. The first instance would be to be willing to get ready and embrace this change. The second thing that the teachers would have to do, I would say, is to try and marry a set of skills that you have to newly emerging skills. We are talking about skills transferability. So we are so worried that, oh my God, how do I get to adjust to this newly emerging space? So with this thought, I would go out and say that the teachers, if they are willing to look at the skills that they currently carry, draw relevance to the emerging changes, and marry these skills to these emerging changes, the teachers would certainly be ready for the future. The third biggest, I would say, that's what we piggyback on, would be resilience, not just our ability to bounce back, but our ability also to bounce forward. So these are the three essential, I would say, professional shapers for teachers. And if we work to embrace these as a part of our professional development, I'm sure we will make the children's learning more progressive and relevant to the changes that are happening into this, what's abused the term, the VUCA world, right? It's the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. So I would say change readiness, I would say skills transferability, and I would say resilience. And these are the things that would definitely start off with professional development, and it comes through reflection. I will pause here and then maybe talk later.
Sure. Taking the clue from you, the new emerging skills, maybe I think curriculum innovation and introduction of futuristic subjects. Now, how do we educators would handle that? And very specially, now entrepreneurship is one of the newest subjects that's coming up. And so I would like to ask Mr. Roab, as how would you define this entrepreneurship, and why do you believe that embedding this entrepreneurship in the curriculum is very important, not only to Indian youth, but to in general?
Well, shoved up a hair. It's my first attempt at Hindi for today. My name's Rob, I'm from the UK, and I've got the socks to prove it. Entrepreneurship, it's often bracketed within business education and the domain of business schools and business faculties. But what I'd like to do today is challenge that concept. If we look at a definition, a practical definition of entrepreneurship, if you Google it or look in the Oxford Dictionary, it'll come up with something that says the application of enterprise behaviors, attributes and competences in the creation of cultural, social and economic value. But this does not exclusively lead to the process of turning a new idea, product or service that can succeed and will attract investors. People who adopt an entrepreneurial mindset become more productive and creative regardless of their type of endeavor. This is because entrepreneurship education provides a broad array of transferable skills. And I'll read some of them out to you. Some of those skills include critical thinking and problem solving, creativity and innovation, leadership and teamwork, the ability to convey ideas clearly and persuasively, and the ability to adapt to changing circumstances and recover from setbacks. I didn't enter the adult working world in business. For the first 25 years of my adult working world, I was a British soldier. And I used those skills as I went up the ranks. I used those skills mostly every day, adapting to changing circumstances. Critical thinking and problem solving, the creativity, innovation, leadership and teamwork, of course, conveying ideas persuasively, and adapting to ever-changing circumstances. There's an old military adage that says, no plan survives contact with the enemy. Well, I don't expect you guys to encounter the enemy, but you get the idea. You know, you have to be able to think on your feet, and so will our young people as they enter the dynamic world of work. So the skills are not only for business success, they're highly valued in the professional domain, making them beneficial for career and personal development. Our young graduates in India and the UK whether they're engineers, doctors, artists, will be entering a society and an economy where these additional skills will be vital. They're vital now. I will assert that it's our collective duty to, and our objective in our institutions, to better connect the journey between real-world destinations and education. So why now? Well, as you probably know, India is now the home to the world's largest population. And I'll refer to my notes because there's some statistics here. In 2023, the median age in India was 28.2 years, compared to 38.4 years in China, 40.7 years in the UK, 48.6 years in Japan, according to the National Statistics Office. 345 million Indians are aged between 15 and 29. That age group is more than 5 times the size of the entire UK population. But hey, we're only a small island. So we need to leverage, you guys need to leverage that advantage you've got over the other industrialized nations. You know, as you know, India has transformed massively over the last 10 years. Based on population dynamics, India's GDP could reach 5 trillion within the next 4 years, aiming for nearly 10 trillion by 2030. So you've got a huge bulge of youth entering the labor market in the next few years. And they'll need jobs and roles. They'll need skills to navigate the increasingly changing world and a changing India. The problem is, we don't really know what jobs are going to exist when these kids leave school. It's a changing dynamic. And I think that's been spoken about before today. In conclusion, the good news is by embedding entrepreneurship education into the curriculum, be it at secondary school or in higher education, you're helping India get back on track and meeting the United Nations sustainability goals set for 2030. Embedding education curriculum is not just an educational reform, but it's just a strategic imperative for India and indeed the rest of the world. The NEP sets out a path for a significant expansion of India's research capabilities and output in order to tackle the rapid changes occurring in the world today. If India is to become a leader in emerging technologies and in the fields of human endeavor, and if it is to harness the potential of its vast talent pool, then it must find a way to scale up and roll out innovation. That, in a word, is entrepreneurship. And I'm sorry I've had to refer to notes, but there's some really strong points here that I wanted to get across. But thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Rob. And to continue with the same topic, may I ask Mr. Vinayak to say how you can foster the entrepreneurship in school level and to conduct interdisciplinary projects?
Sure. I'd just like to first start off and take this opportunity to thank the Academy, the Schram Academy, for putting this splendid conference put together. And if you look at the emblem, they really got speakers from all over the world. They got them from America, the UK, Australia. So I just, and the way in which we have been placed, really honored to be part of Dr. Pillai, Bhavani, Shankar, Rob, and myself, placed exactly as what Mr. Denzel sir gave us where to be placed. Yeah, so I'm in the exact spot. And I want you to imagine the background sound of Dr. Elizabeth King, which was playing, which made us think a lot. So I think entrepreneurship is very important, and I work for ABE. Both of us work for ABE. We are specialists in the field of entrepreneurial skills. And what we want students and what we want schools to do is take up entrepreneurship from schools. And we start as young as the 6th standard, where we want them to form teams, as what Denzel sir said, want them to think of an idea, want them to come up with the idea of how to start a company and then pitch to the investors. Believe me, kids are already doing it. They are singing songs and uploading it on Spotify. They have become influencers. We have to accept it that they are much smarter than us and they know how to sell. But it's important that we as a board give them the structure to it. We give you the content for the faculty of schools to deliver the entrepreneurial curriculum. The kids MBA, that's the product that we have, and it really encourages students to bring the community together, the parents together, and the school giving children an opportunity to present what they are very good at. We were having a conversation some time back, and I think we said that if the child is weak in, say, English or geography, we tend to give them extra coaching or tuitions on a subject that he or she is weak in. And actually the subject he's strong in, say art, that he is not trained on. You try to force him on something he or she is weak at. And that's where I think a subject like entrepreneurial skills, develop teamwork, presentation skills, fostering an idea. So it's very much like the MBA, which we as a board, ABE, we bring that to schools, and that's how we want schools to be incorporating entrepreneurship into the school curriculum.
Thank you so much. And getting back to the vision, shared vision again, may I request Dr. Pillai sir to give us a consensus. How can a consensus be built around the key components of the vision?
Well, again, I will go back to the construction of vision. Then only the key components can be discussed. One thing, it has to be memorable. People have to easily remember the vision. For example, the UK Department of Education vision, every child matters. Very easy to remember, and it has got a lot of meaning. And I was working in a country called Malawi, and the power department of that country has got a very beautiful vision. Power all day, every day. That's what they want to achieve. That's what they have to reach. So this type of vision, when we are constructing the vision itself, we have to make sure that every member of the community should be able to remember the vision. That's very important. Because if I asked you that question to everybody, do you remember the vision of your school? Some of them said yes. But I'm sure that, because this is my experience, teachers and students do not remember the vision of the school. The first thing, involve the staff and students to create or revisit the vision. Create the vision, restructure the vision with the points that I mentioned. It has to be focused on student success. It has to be aspirational. It has to be inspirational. It has to be very clear, and it has to be memorable. Then, on the basis of that, you can create mission statements, what we have to do to achieve this vision. So, mission statement. Involve the students, the school community, not only students, the stakeholders, including the students, staff, parents, even some wider community, in creating the vision, recreating the vision, revisiting the vision frequently. At least a year, once a year or something like that. Then try to achieve that. Here, once we, 2030, we would say, the vision is created, missions statements are created. Now, there should be activities to achieve that. That activities can be done only collaboratively, because we need a collaboration. Silo activities, silos, working in their own world is no more a structure. Hierarchy will not work anymore. Yesterday in my presentation also I mentioned, hierarchy is not an age for hierarchy. It is an age of networking. We need to network. We need to get ideas from everybody. Sometimes we can get ideas even from the nursery students. Even they also give very good ideas. I have that experience. So get the ideas from them. Make practical activities. We have to create practical activities for the community to participate in. Naturally, the vision will be visibly seen. Walking inside the school or institution or in the society. That's how we can create. So, one thing, every member should know what the vision is. What are the mission statements are, how we can achieve them, and how we can revisit them, all these things, and collaboration. Through this way, we can do. Collaboration, again I mentioned, a real collaboration, not the contrived collegiality or the balkanization. That will not work. Or individualistic approach also will not work.
Thank you, sir. Let me come back to Dr. Bhavani, sir, again. Sir, can you just throw light on how can professional development programs be tailored to meet the diverse needs of the educators?
Okay. See, now there is a fundamental requirement, right? So we can't disinvest from that fundamental requirement as educators. So when we say we are educators, there is a hidden rule that you need to continuously learn. So we also go by the understanding that good teachers make good students. Now, when we started off, we said that what are the things that are preventing us from moving ahead in the direction of looking at 2030 as the first of the milestones. So, as we walk towards 2030, what are the biggest limitations first? So, if I were to play the devil's advocate, so we'll take information. I just pulled out information. So, the information is that India has a very young population. So the population, the average age would be, the biggest numbers would be, say, youth, and about 28.9 years or something that you just said that. That's wonderful to listen to, but the Global Capacity Index puts us right at the back. So it says that India is going to produce to the world semi-skilled and unskilled workforce who are not going to be ready to take on the newly emergent skills that are coming up. So I would not blame the children here or the youth here, but then that's what we as teachers and educators provide to them, right? Now, going by that, we really understand if there is so much of diversity even among the educators, and our own learning needs are grossly different. We really need to bring them all to a basic benchmark. So, I am tempted to recall, say, our own schools, the larger vision statement, which is Sahaviryam Karavavahe, which means let us endeavor together, which means that there is a very strong connection with one another as learners. So in this hall, we would assume that there are about 100 plus educators, each with 10 years of experience. We are looking at 1,000 years of experience in this hall. And how have you put that to use? This is number one. And from Dr. Pillai, we talking about collaboration is one of the biggest threads here. I would say the competency is built based on each of us sharing our learning with one another. More importantly, the readiness with which we share our mistakes. I don't want you to make the same mistake that I made. So this thought would possibly permeate across, and I would say as educators, if we understand this common minimum benchmark that is required for us in order that we transact instruction meaningfully, we are able to provide the right kind of information to the students, we will have to place professional development and competency building of educators right at the top. So even within this, we might have about 3 or 4 different pockets of learners, and it is for us to identify the different bands and the needs of these within a schooling environment. We can't take a larger populace within the schooling environment. And within the schooling environment, the time and space. So these are 2 significant elements that would bind this together. Within the realities of time and space, whatever is significantly important, be it domain-specific skill sets or generic, approaches to teaching and learning, we need to set that in. You are a classical example who are trying to do that right here, right? So you're bringing them all together, bringing different minds and establishing the connects, and then asking them to reflect on what they actually need. So if they're able to come up and tell us what is their training needs requirement, or I analyze it through, a scheme of things, I would definitely understand what is needed and what not.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, having talked about professional development and collaboration and curriculum innovation, I think AI literacy is one of the futuristic topics, and as teachers, we should also know how to handle it, and it's one of the 2030 goals. So may I request very quickly, any two of you, if you could, give very brief points on what will be the ethical consideration related to the use of AI in education?
Okay, I can go first.
Yeah.
I think it's important that students quote from where they have taken their information. So they could use AI, but then it's important to reference it, that this is from where we've used it. And I think putting that into practical application is very important. It mustn't be the fact that AI does all the work. The student gives the correct instructions and uses the information effectively. I think that would be important for a child to have.
Anything more to add?
Well, yes, certainly children should be taught how to cite, referencing. I practice in my school. We start from the early years itself. We tell them to tell us if their homework is helped by parents, they inform that one. That way, we develop that culture of ethical standards actually. And they tell them, we teach them how to use different, when they reach high school, we teach them how to use different, referencing styles, MLA style, Harvard, APA, and that kind of thing will come in when they reach the secondary school. Nowadays, because of Word, Microsoft Word has got the capability of, making this, include all this referencing style. It is possible. We teach them. And as he mentioned, it's very important that they have to, acknowledge the fact that they have used AI support. And if they directly take, they have to quote it as any referencing book. This content is AI generated. If they do that one, of course, if they write everything out of that one and write quoted by, if they reference also, that will not work. That is the wrong thing again. That is plagiarism again. So they have to, in between, they can quote a little bit. That is the ethical standard. Also nowadays, plagiarism check is available, similarity check is available. And now, as I mentioned, yesterday also I mentioned, Turnitin. There's a software called Turnitin. Turnitin has got the capability of identifying AI-generated text. So we have to make them understand. We also make them understand the consequences of plagiarism. I think Harvard president had to step down because of her thesis, right? Last year or year before last, it happened. She had to step down because her thesis had something that she did in reference. So because of that, she had to step down. I think there was something like that happened. I don't remember it exactly, something that like that happened. So students have to know these things, these consequences, we have to educate them. Then the ethical standard will be maintained and tell them to treat the AI tools as a resource